Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Got the Lando show on here. We got our official playoff matchup playing the San Francisco 49ers. TBD. Very excited. Finally get out of this regular season. It seemingly took forever, but here we are. Excited to get
Hey
along with
guys,
you,
Steven here.
Landon, and break all this down. So, right off the bat, and before we get into it, make sure you hit that like button as you come in here. Show us some love. Trying to grow the platform, and also want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, BUSR, busr.com/fanatic. Make sure you go check them out. Our official sponsor, our official sports book, our official betting partner, Fanatic Perspective. Those of you who are out there looking for a reliable sports book, prop bets, everything under the sun. No one better to partner with than BSR. Very reliable, excellent customer service. Our current promo code right now is Sports100FP. 100% free play matches on all deposits. Sign up busr.com/fanatic. Help us grow that platform as well. So I got the Lando show on here. One of my close friends and excellent Cowboys content creator now that we watching the Rams and Niners and I think concurrently the Seahawks and Cardinals, just what was going through your mind and how are you feeling about this matchup against the Niners come next weekend?
But honestly, first of all, just thank God it's playoff football time now. Like it's just what feels like too long. But what was going through my head, it was a great slate all day. Actually, the noon slate and the afternoon slate, 6 and 6 games, I think is what we got. So that was kind of a blessing. But man, I was just trying to enjoy it. I said to a couple different people, I think if we show up and play our game, it doesn't really matter who we play. That was kind of like the mindset that I had actually just sitting back and watching. So I was just like, you know what? We took care of our business yesterday against Fee, which felt great to get back on the right track. Hopefully get some confidence rolling into the playoffs with, thank you, NFL, an extra day of rest. That's a blessing in disguise. And so, it's obviously great to move up to get to the 3 seed, which the 49ers did us a favor there. But now we get to link up and go toe-to-toe with them. So I'm excited, man. Like, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. So you might as well just start with the 49ers. Let's just take care of business there. If we show up and play our game, I don't really think it matters who we play. But my first thought of San Fran was physical. We know what Kyle Shanahan does. Lots of misdirection, lots of run game, lots of play action. And they did all that tonight without their arguably their best player, maybe one of the best players in the NFL, and Trent Williams. And so that was kind of an impressive showing to surmount that lead, but just to really dominate the Rams up front with all their star power they have defensively. It was fun football. So here we go, playoff time.
For sure, man. I mean, there's probably, of all the coaches in the league, I'm one of the biggest Kyle Shanahan fans there are out there in terms of just what coaches do schematically, their approach to the game, the whole bit. I'm a huge Kyle Shanahan fan, have been for years, and everywhere he's gone, he's been, productive. He's been innovative, and nobody is more, especially in the run game. Nobody is more innovative in the run game and running the football than Kyle. There's a lot of people that do what he does and come from that, that Alex Gibbs, Mike Shanahan coaching tree, Gary Kubiak, all those guys. There's a lot of them in the league now. They went head to head today. Matt, not Matt, Sean McVay, the Matt LaFleurs of the world, and there's more, of these dudes all over the NFL because of how productive just that base rushing scheme is. But you still have to be, what sets him apart is the play calling, how he utilizes his personnel, how he utilizes weapons, real weapons like a Debo Samuel. And as injuries, they got hit with injuries all season long. Moving Debo Samuel, making him a positionless football player, a true positionless football player. And
Yep.
we do some of those things, with CeeDee Lamb. We do some of those things with Cedric Wilson. They take it to another level what they do with Deebo Samuel. So
Yeah.
we have our hands full. I think it's a spicy 3-6 matchup. I think from a media narrative standpoint, this matchup's spicy because the Cowboys on paper bring all the star power and no pun intended, but that uncertainty of, oh, they're an accident waiting to happen, or they're going to fall apart on the big stage, or they don't beat good teams. There's all that narrative there. You have the Cowboys and 49ers rivalry, which was
Historic.
a bigger thing in
Yep.
storyline back in the 90s and for older fans. I don't know if it's as much a thing for younger fans. I think that will definitely be revisited this week.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it is different when you're playing somebody in the playoffs. But overall, I mean, if you're the NFL, you're couldn't be more excited with this.
You're
matchup
salivating right now. Absolutely.
Playing each other 100%.
Yep. No question, man. My initial.
It's interesting because with that point, I mean, there's, to me, when we break down this game, and Cole has it here, it definitely is a nostalgia matchup. I think the last time we squared off in the playoffs was the 1994 NFC Championship game. And what's funny is I was answering a question and talking about like the great teams that have never won a Super Bowl, and I answered on Twitter that the 94 Cowboys were one of the great teams that I remember and seeing that didn't win a Super Bowl. And we don't think about it that way because they won 3 and 4 years. And that was the one year they didn't win because Steve Young, get the monkey off my back, Jerry Rice, all those guys broke through. Obviously, Deion Sanders being a part of that 49ers team. And we lose 38-28 in the NFC Championship game. That was the last time we played each other. That was, 28 years ago.
Yep.
So, the younger fans, like, even, the players, they're not going to be – it's more so in terms of just the matchup and scheme and the size of the fan bases, I would say, than us maybe playing Philadelphia in the first
heck yeah.
round.
You saw that was a damn near home game for the Niners today in Inglewood, California at SoFi. It's like it's massive, 2 massive fan bases. So Shanahan owns McVay. It's hilarious. Yeah. So did I hear somebody say that was 6 straight?
I think it's 6 straight.
6 straight?
I think.
I didn't realize that going in, but looking back
at least Jimmy G's 5-0 was 5-0 against the Rams.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy to imagine.
So that was number 6. Greetings,
So,
Eddie. Thank you for jumping on from Paris. Go Cowboys. Absolutely. It's playoff time, baby. It's playoff time, Eddie. Hey, while you guys are in here, hit that like button. Whether you're watching on Twitter, wherever you're watching from, check in. Cowboys Nation's worldwide, baby. It's the biggest brand in all of sports.
Global.
Period. It's nothing bigger. It's nothing bigger than this star. So jump in. Some interesting. So I want to start here. Actually, I want to get to Chris's first comment. I absolutely love the matchup. So the biggest thing I think for Cowboys fans, because it's different paths to look at. A lot of people looking to avoid Green Bay in the second round, right? Hey, if we got to go through Green Bay, let's handle that. If we're fortunate enough to advance the NFC Championship game, we now end up on the other side of the bracket, which Landon, I must say, I am more than pleased with how Mike McCarthy and this coaching staff chose to handle this week and take it seriously. Because we were getting all this crap about, why are the Cowboys playing the Eagles so hard, JV team, blah, blah, blah. But it turns out that win and securing and guaranteeing that win boosted you up a seed. That may come to make a difference. What if the Bucks lose? Now you have a home playoff game in the second round. Like, you never know. So I'm never going to be against them moving up a seed and doing it. So I do appreciate the way and the professional manner in which our staff handled this particular week going against Philadelphia.
Absolutely, man. Like, at the end of the day, these players, they still want to go out and compete too. Like, it's personal to them on just a competitive level. It's personal to us as fans wanting to beat Philly, of course, as always. And it's, there's a lot of other incentivized things behind closed doors that we don't even know about, stuff that's built into their contracts. And, maybe just even having a chip on their shoulder for one reason or another, but going out and taking care of business, not only, it improved the record and improved the seed, but it improved what's happening up here for an offense that has obviously not been operating at 100% efficiency lately. And to me, the psychological component of feeling good, fresh off of a win like that against a divisional opponent, sweeping the division, right, ending the year on a high note, coming out relatively unscathed, and so just confidence. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You beat a team that ran out their secondary players the way that you should. You handled business, and at the end of the day, Dak Prescott saw the football go in the end zone 5 times. So that's all you can ask for. And now talking about, to the comment of Chris, there's it's not we can't rule out Philly going and taking care of business and beating Tampa. Not necessarily that I would be rooting for that, but if they do, all of a sudden, because we're no longer the 4 seed, we're the 3 seed, there's a chance that you can host potentially 2 playoff games, right? Because the lowest remaining seed would go and take on the Packers. And so, if all goes well, obviously take care of business was what's presented with you first and foremost. You got to go out and beat San Fran. But if you do that, you could be looking at potentially hosting a second consecutive playoff game this season and vying for a spot to the NFC Championship at home. So I love the way it all worked out. And so now it's just all about us, right? It's not about anybody else. It's about playing our game and just going out and doing what we do best. So
I'm just looking at the comments here. So Chris,
I need to catch up on that too.
Yeah. So Chris's second point, facing Jimmy G versus I'd rather face Jimmy over Kyle. Any day. I think you're talking about the quarterback situation, Kyler Murray.
Yeah, Kyler.
While I agree with you in terms of matchup with the quarterback, sure. I'm never going to pick, and that's just how I feel about Kyle Shanahan. I'm still looking at the coach, and I'm looking at the offensive and defensive lines.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan worries me.
We're going to have our hands full
more than Cliff Kingsbury does. If you gave me the choice and said I had to sit here and take my pick, my preference of the two, I want to go get Kyler and the Cardinals again. But if we gotta, like I said, you got to beat the best to be the best. So regardless of who's in, you got to play your game. And if this is the Super Bowl contending caliber team that you and I both believe this to be, then it doesn't matter. So we let the football gods handle it.
So let me read Jordan's comments here. I don't hate having San Francisco the first game so they can keep it rolling, but not against the Cupcakes. San Francisco isn't going to be an easy game, but they're also a very beatable team.
Mm-hmm.
So I pretty much agree with this. And the beatable aspect of this is relative because they've been one of the more banged up teams throughout the season, but they also have a quarterback that can be. You saw the good, bad, and ugly with Jimmy Garoppolo today.
Yep.
I mean, you saw
they shouldn't have had to been in the 2-minute drill situation in the first place.
He throws a red zone interception, right? He was a disaster in the first quarter of the game.
Yep.
I mean, they're down 17-0. That's a big part of his footwork and just being uncomfortable, but to his credit,
I give him a pass, just given the overcoming the thumb injury. It's probably difficult to be comfortable going in and trying to settle in, so to be expected. But the point stands, like, the quarterback matchup is a favorable one. Now, my devil's advocate counterpoint to that would be, well, the Cowboys, the strongest and most consistent component of our team as a whole, all 3 phases, right, has been the pass rush. And so you would think that type of game script or game plan or play style would favor, even though you just got beat by them 2 weeks prior, would favor a matchup with a team that likes to throw it a little bit more in the Cardinals, right? So a team that does rely a lot on, within their success on run gaps and trusting your eyes and implementing the horizontal aspect of offensive play to the field, right? Like the 49ers, that's a really good way, along with the play action passing game. That's a really good way to slow down a hyperactive pass rush like the Cowboys possess. So the play style offensively for the 49ers, I think, is a little bit better for them than maybe I would say that the Cardinals would be, just because of what they like to do and what we're best at. So I don't know if you have any thoughts there, or anybody in the comments has, but that's kind of my first initial reaction to the matchup.
So I think out of the three teams, to the play style point, right?
Yeah,
they're going to be the most difficult to make unbalanced between the Rams, the Cardinals, because we were going to play one of these NFC West teams, since the Buccaneers were going to beat the Panthers, right? So between the three teams, once the Buccaneers won, then between these NFC West teams, if we look inside out, we saw the Cardinals front. They're good. Not, I wouldn't say great. And we also played very poorly ourselves. I know with the Rams offensive line, I was most looking forward to going up against that offensive line. If you're talking about strictly our defensive line, they allowed 13 quarterback hits today from San Francisco's defensive line. And the Rams offensive line to me
he was under duress all night. It seemed like
he was under duress, and that hasn't been. I mean, that happened in their rate, and when the Rams played the Ravens, that's been a consistent thing. That's not new with the Rams. It's not the Rams. The Rams have, again, McVay and that scheme and what they do. Also, I'm never going to be afraid going into a playoff game where I'm like, oh, Sony Michel's going to run for a gajillion yards on us the way Todd Gurley and Carl Winslow did a few years ago. I don't necessarily see that happening. So the Cardinals, right, is, at least with Kyler Murray in the run game element, they protect him well enough to where he can be dangerous. The 49ers is going to be interesting because you brought up Trent Williams earlier. Trent Williams had an unbelievable season and the best offensive lineman in the NFL. He's, according to Pro Football Focus, and everybody feels a certain type of way about Pro Football Focus, but I know we pick and choose when we want to use the grades, but from a Pro Football Focus perspective, he's the highest graded player in the NFL. Now, he didn't play today. They said he tried to go.
Yeah.
That means he's he's going to be ready to go against the Cowboys. He used to play on Washington too. So
he'll be ready.
He'll be ready. He'll be ready to play, right? And so it's a tall task for Randy Gregory, right? That's a tall task for all of our edge guys that will go against Silverback, and it's a tall task for what he does in the run game.
Absolutely.
Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, they use him both ways.
And there's really a three-headed monster in that backfield now. So they're having fresh bodies running downhill at you constantly. They're constantly cycled in and out. So we know how efficient we thought the Cowboys rushing attack was in the first 8 weeks of the season with Tony and Zeke keeping each other fresh, but the Niners are doing it now, keeping three guys fresh. So I love the approach from Kyle Shanahan now with the rate that he does run the football at. It's, kind of that constant outside zone attack, one cut and go. You got to have that cycle. That's why we see so many running backs get in there and be efficient within that scheme. It's just, it's just kind of the way it's built. But another interesting matchup off top is with what we know George Kittle can do both as a run blocker and a receiver. Jaron Kearse, how's the hammy? Him matching up with George Kittle and being responsible for taking away guys like Darren Waller earlier in the season. And there's another name that's probably going to slip my memory here, but that's another matchup I'll be interested in seeing. And how is the hamstring? Can he run 100%? I think what we were told is that he probably could have played against Philly had it been like a do or die situation. He would have gone. He would have given it a go. And so, you get an extra day, ideally, assuming we play again on Sunday. You would like to think that an extra 8 days of rest after that, when he could have played, hypothetically, you would think he'd be ready to roll, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, so I see a lot of people commenting on Dak, and that's it is a big opportunity for Dak. And young Joe, thank you for asking about me. I am well, and I appreciate it. But this 49ers game is an interesting one because it's not going to come down to just Dak Prescott versus Jimmy Garoppolo. That's not how the 49ers are built. If you watch them play football, you know exactly what I mean. Now, in terms of Dak Prescott, you want to see him play at the level he's played the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need him to go out there and try to play hero ball and try to win the game. And I think that's a misnomer here. Go out, be efficient on offense. Now, the biggest thing I need to see from Dak in regards to this matchup, because we're in the playoffs now, it's about matchups.
Yeah.
How he is in the pocket navigating this San Francisco rush, especially on obvious passing downs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's why it's going to be very, very critical. Everybody's commenting here about Dak. We are going to have to maintain some type of balance because one of the things, our last playoff game we played in, which was 3 years ago now against the Rams, we lost that game because we could not run the football, guys.
Yeah.
It ended up becoming very one-dimensional. For those who don't remember, when we had to go to LA
and CJ Anderson had
to
a
come
field
from behind and get points again. Ezekiel Elliott, we ran him 20 times for 46 yards in that Rams game. So we're going to have to be balanced with Tony Pollard, with Dak, and some of the wrinkles that I need to see, whether it's CeeDee Lamb or Cedric Wilson, attacking the perimeters and maintaining balance. We cannot end up the way the Rams ended up today, where it turns into Matthew Stafford, like you saw, drop back pass. The 49ers, Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Arden Key has come on, the brother that used to play for LSU. That's a tough task. And we're not the same type of offensive line pass pro-wise that we were before. Like, aren't you concerned? Like, Nick Bosa, to me, that's a tough matchup for Tyron Smith, whether he's healthy or not.
Right? Yeah, and a lot of times Nick Bosa lines up on, like, what would be Lyle Collins' side, the right side of the formation. So that's going to be it's going to be Lyle matched up with him too. So, both of those guys. But regardless, if we stick to our game and do what we do best, and if I don't know, man, this is okay. So this is my number one reason for concern is we haven't run the football well. People are going to be harsh on Dak, and maybe rightfully so, but he's played really good football this past month. I don't think he's turned it over once. It's like I don't know, maybe the ratio.
No interceptions.
There you go. Okay, so and then just 5-0 in that ratio in a really efficient manner again last night. So I think Dak's going to be just fine confidence-wise, but it's hard for any quarterback to have any semblance of success throwing the football when you don't threaten teams on the ground. And that's going to be the ultimate test more than Dak proving himself is the Cowboys have to figure out how to be more efficient on the ground. Otherwise, we're not going to get very far as it is. And that's just my thing. And so, like, I talked about this on a video I think I did 2 days ago. More of the stuff that works, less of the stuff that doesn't in the ground game. And to me, one specific example that I haven't seen a ton of recently, since the running game lull, has been pulling guards and tackles against misdirection or pre-snap motion. Right? So like motioning somebody from the slot, say Amari or CeeDee, this way, and then pulling somebody from the right side, Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, whoever, Lyle Collins, against that pre-snap motion, and then having Zeke or Tony or whatever. That's when this run game thrives, and I just haven't seen that implemented lately. I don't know what to attribute that to. Secondly, the outside zone with both running backs, and particularly Tony Pollard, who I think is better at that specific role, Zeke between the tackles, but that has gone away as well. And then we saw wrinkles be successful with CeeDee Lamb in the backfield. We saw stuff start to trickle back into the game plan with one of those extra offensive linemen, most of the time Connor McGovern, lined up as a fullback or H-back. But for
Can we
whatever
touch
reason,
on that real quick?
Yeah,
Because this is something I've had a conversation with another Cowboys friend of mine earlier today.
Let's go.
We've run that formation more than anybody else in the league in terms of the sixth offensive lineman.
Right.
One of the reasons why we're doing that now a lot of it is creative, and I think you're going to see some other teams probably adopt something like that. You don't have the same dominant run grading offensive line you had a few years ago, so you have to go to the extra lineman. Also, you don't have a fullback really on the roster.
That's the Cowboys telling you we need help in this department. They're showing you that by their personnel.
They're telling you that by the personnel, right? Mm-hmm. And so when they're bringing in the extra offensive lineman, it's almost it's more than just a tell, which is why they've introduced more passes out of it, more play action. Yeah. But even still, we're going to probably go more max protect, at most maybe a 3-man route once you bring in the sixth offensive lineman. But the point is, you have to do that because they need as many bodies as possible to help with this run game and get it, reinvigorated, really. So that's been a challenge for us. We don't run the ball as efficiently and as well as San Francisco does. Now, the good thing is we're not in a competition to see who can run the football better between the two teams. We're in a competition, Cowboys offense versus 49ers defense. Yep. So I just needed to be good enough against the 49ers defense and to generate some plays and to get so that my passing game's on track and my quarterback doesn't get overwhelmed on obvious passing downs on third and longs with very, very good edge heat that the 49ers will bring, that we saw them bring today. And as they've gotten healthier throughout the season, they've presented challenges. So I think that's something that we just have to be mindful of. Now, a lot of people here, just going back to the Dak thing, because I'm going to put up a graphic here just of Dakota. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm a Dak Prescott fan, and Dak's proven it to me. I'm not whether a game is. I'm not going to put his whole career and everything he's done as a Cowboy on one football game.
Yeah, it doesn't just disappear after whatever happens next week. Yeah, that's not.
Now there'll be questions and there'll be frustrations if he doesn't play well and this team loses. If he goes out and throws 2-3 interceptions or hits a whole bunch of sacks or we stall and it looks like it did, especially in November. Sure.
Yeah.
People
and quite frankly, Steve, if we win this game, there's going to be still people that are questioning it too. That's just the nature of the fan base. Because
that's the thing. And
I'm still getting questions every week. And it's just like, can we not just appreciate a 12-5 season when our quarterback just broke the single season touchdown passing record and hosting a playoff game? And I'm like, can we appreciate the ride? Why do we, you mentioned it 2 days ago, bro. I was pumped when you said it because you articulated it so perfectly in a way that I haven't really been able to because I just kind of get frustrated, but try to keep a cool head. But you said we hold number 4 to a different standard because that's the guy we pay the most attention to. So naturally, we spend more time focusing on him and his play, and we watch every snap as opposed to all 31 other quarterbacks in this league who have flaws of their own in their own right. But we don't see that because we're not so focused on it, right? So it's like, ask yourself, am I being too critical or am I just seeing what's being thrown in my face by media and otherwise? So I don't know. Dak's gonna be fine, man. If we lose the football game, it won't be because Dak wasn't sharp. It won't be because Dak fumbled like he did against the Cardinals. It'll be because we weren't able to move the football on the ground. And the 49ers played they controlled the time of possession and they just out-physicaled us the way that they out-physicaled the Rams. Now, do I expect that to happen? No, I don't. I expect us to win this game. But all I'm saying is, to your point, this isn't litmus test for number 4. So that's kind of where I'm at on that.
No, I mean, and here's the other thing. Dak for those, and because we do this thing where we forget, we put so much pressure on one game, and we're adding pressure that really doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And we forget everything that somebody else has done. Dak's played in 3 playoff games. He's played well in 3 playoff games, in my opinion. He's 1-2. If you want to go by their record, put up 30 points in a playoff game against Aaron Rodgers' rookie year. I watched him beat Russell Wilson in a playoff game 2018. Lost a playoff game where the team gave up 300 yards rushing. So You know, show me the playoff performance where he's just been.
He hasn't been
awful.
the problem. Yeah, he's not lost us the game. Yeah, exactly.
No. Okay, so the second part of this is we paid this guy. You know, we finally gave him the contract he was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
In a period of time where he had a compound fracture on his ankle. I know. See, the thing is, we do this thing now with Dak where we act like he had a high ankle sprain last year. His career was in jeopardy. This was like as serious as injury. He had a compound fracture where the bone breaks skin.
Yeah.
And in what, a year later, he's breaking franchise records. We're 12-5. We're heading into the playoffs. I know what I have in 4.
Yeah.
And he's going to be around long enough to win playoff games.
Week 5 of 2020
I hope it starts this year, but I'm not going to sit up here and say, and because I hear what Rodolfo's saying, oh, if he gets outplayed, then I would trade him for a big name QB. Who?
Who's a bigger name on the market outside of Aaron Rodgers that won't cost as much to acquire?
Right. Like, that's unrealistic. Yeah. And it's crap like this that I see in this fan base that it's like you can't even appreciate all of a year ago we were 4-12 guys because he got hurt. We had no shot. Now he comes back and we dominate the division because we clearly so much have the best quarterback in the division. We win 6 games, and now that doesn't mean anything. Yeah. Because apparently, dominating your division is whatever. And we're holding him to this standard. Listen. Dak Prescott, one of the things we've started to do is we've started to overrate all of the weapons on this team so we can talk about how much Dak is holding us back. We started to do that with this team.
So I'm glad you said that. And if we can, I want to segue right into the discussion of, as much as we all love Michael Gallup and know what he can do in the air, body contortion, body control, hands on the sideline, navigating the sideline, right, 50-50 balls. This offense hums with Cedric Wilson in the slot. There's multiple weeks of evidence of that, suggesting that now. So I'm not here to dismiss anything Michael Gallup has done. I hope he comes back next year. I hope the best for him, speediest recoveries, right? And best of wishes. He's an absolute stud. I love him. I think he can be a potential number 1 wide receiver for somebody else. And maybe he will be. But this team, for what the chemistry that Dak Prescott has with Cedric Wilson can't be overlooked at this current juncture. Where we stand right now, we have to kind of appreciate what Cedric Wilson has done. And honestly, I think CeeDee Lamb has been a little bit better outside than he has inside. When Michael Gallup came back and forced him back to the slot, we thought that him being closer to the line of scrimmage was going to prove to be great things. But in reality, it just puts him amidst more chaos. There's more bodies to navigate around. The game is faster. Linebackers can run with him now. So he's not the matchup nightmare in the slot that he was in college. The linebackers these days, the Roquan Smiths, the Devin Bushes, the Devin Whites.
You're facing one this week in Fred Warner.
Micah Parsons, Fred Warner, all those guys run 4.3s. They're faster than CeeDee Lamb. So this is a different game. But obviously, CeeDee Lamb, I'm not like this. I'm so lucky that we're so lucky that we have him, because now we can overcome an injury like Michael Gallup, right? And so CeeDee Lamb can be the guy. He can fill those shoes. He can do it. And he has done it. And we've seen this team. What were we, 7-2? Through weeks 1 through 9, were we 7-2? Do I have that correct?
We had lost to
Tampa, and we lost to Denver. I think that was the first loss after the Tampa loss.
After the Vikings game.
Either way, I think we won 7 games without Michael Gallup, which meant that Cedric Wilson was in the slot and CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper were on the outside. That's all I'm saying. So there's lots of evidence suggesting that we're going to be okay. We protect the quarterback, find a way to run the football, we'll be fine.
Chemistry matters so much, especially when you're talking about passing games and whatnot. Cooper Kupp is look at what Cooper Kupp's done for the Rams in the slot this year. He's had a historic season, and he's a 4.65 guy. I remember he ran like a 4.65 at the combine. I don't even know if it was maybe it was a 4.65 if it was that fast, right? When you're playing in the slot, you have to be so in tune with the quarterback in terms of, especially when you want to start carrying stuff vertically. And the issue right now that CeeDee Lamb had in the slot, and this is something because people talk about weapons. And yes, CeeDee Lamb's a weapon. Amari Cooper's a weapon. Michael Gallup was a weapon. I agree.
Absolutely.
But weapons, there's also levels to weapons. I'm gonna say something else controversial. I love them as weapons. They're not Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. They're not, okay? Because when you go and watch Jamar Chase, I don't see any of these three dudes catching a 5-yard hitch and taking it 85
taking
yards
it to the house.
Right. We don't have that guy on. Amari Cooper has done that in the past. But when's the last time you saw Amari Cooper catch a pass and turn it up for 90 yards?
Yeah.
That's different. T. Higgins is a different type of verticality.
100%. 100%. And it's also a little bit different too, though. I mean, I will say that it's harder to catch and run when there's two high safeties too. And that's the problem that this offense hasn't been able to overcome. And a lot of times in the games in which we've struggled offensively is no answer for teams allocating more defenders to the pass and us not having an answer for it on the ground, right? So
I agree.
Another thing to consider maybe, but
the thing is Cedric Wilson just has chemistry.
Yeah.
And because he has that chemistry and he just is in tune with his quarterback and they're able to really work the middle of the field, Amari Cooper's life is easier on the outside.
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb's life not only is easier, but I can do other things with CeeDee Lamb and use him for other things. Dalton Schultz life is easier. And Dalton Schultz also has that chemistry with that. Because I had somebody in one of my videos comment and say, we're targeting Dalton Schultz too much, or we're force feeding Dalton Schultz too much. We need to get Amari more targets. We need to get CeeDee Lamb more targets. Well, they also got to run better routes. And yes, when they're open, the quarterback has to hit them. There's been times, yes, where Dak has missed throws. Dak has been behind, especially on end-breaking routes. Got to be crisper on those. No doubt about it. But if we're going to grade the quarterback, we got to grade everybody. Right? We've got to grade the running game. We've got to grade this entire thing. So as we talk about this offense, that's why I said if they're playing their game, they're fine. It's when we get pigeonholed with penalties. It's when we get pigeonholed with not being able to run the football and being one-dimensional where we then Nick Bosa gets to get off. Then Eric Armstead will get off. We know our team, right?
That's a long day waiting for you. And to your point, you mentioned effort a second ago. Wanted to kind of reemphasize that. I posted a video on Mike Fisher's channel 2 days ago talking about Amari Cooper's effort or lack thereof in the Arizona game. And we saw a lot more of that. I was happy to see him kind of bounce back. But basically, the point was that the run game doesn't just begin and end with what's happening with the 5 offensive linemen up front. It requires effort on the outside from your receivers and your tight ends being efficient and willing blockers, getting physical and dirty on the edges. And there was a couple clips that I posted along with that video that you'll see that from the all 22 footage. It was lackadaisical to put it lightly from Amari Cooper. And so I just all I wished going into last night's matchup was if you're gonna be a little bit critical about not being vocal about not getting enough targets, not getting the ball enough, being more involved in the red zone, I'm totally cool with that. I still agree. Amari Cooper does need to be involved more often, and he is still a top 10 receiver in this league. But if that's your stance, then I got to see more effort. And we saw that again last night. So that was good. That was good to see that, potentially, hopefully, hypothetically, ideally, right? All these hope words, but it looked like Amari was back to his aggressive self. So I don't know what was going on against Arizona, but that all seemed to get corrected last night, which is, again, another reason why you and I are both thankful that Mike McCarthy took the approach that he did.
I like the way Amari Cooper was used as well. Those are the
Me
type
too.
of routes that he's typically used on. He doesn't have to just get vertical and run deep, deep in breaking routes all the time. There's so much more he can do as a route runner, and there's still stuff that he's still one of the better route runners
In
even
football.
in the red area.
Absolutely.
Even
in all of football.
In all of football. I mean, he should have had a touchdown yesterday where he just lost track of where his feet were.
Yeah.
On a ball where we scored on the following play to Dalton Schultz. But Amari is a weapon, especially in the red area. So we have stuff that benefits us in a sense. But somebody brought up Tony Pollard being our most explosive guy, which I agree with. Like, if there's anybody that actually can just take a top off and make a big play, it's actually Tony Pollard more than
and which is why I love having that foresight, getting in some rest, man. Make sure he's fresh. He's still probably not 100% off of that what is it, the foot injury of the arch or whatever, the plantar fascia that he was recovering from a couple weeks prior in which he didn't play. So another thing too, back to Amari, I think Bobby Belt posted this on Twitter a couple weeks ago. I thought it was an interesting stat, just a credit to Amari and a testament to his importance. We all remember what this offense looked like before he was signed. We traded a first-round pick to acquire him and his services. But in games in which Amari Cooper is targeted by Dak Prescott, I think it's in games in which he has 3 or more receptions in the first quarter, this offense averages over 100 yards and 10 more points per game, just on 3 receptions in the first quarter from Dak to Amari, that was kind of just a crazy stat to me to process. So getting him involved early and often clearly does, at least the signs would point to, the statistic would point to, it helps his team. So do whatever you got to do.
Yeah, and Matthew Miller, whether you think Amari is a top 10 receiver or not, I think Amari is a top 10 route runner. And I think
listen to AJ Brown on Bussin' with the Boys. He'll tell you. He'll tell you about what the league thinks of Amari Cooper as a receiver. Don't pay attention to the stats and to the fantasy numbers. The league thinks of Amari Cooper as a top 10 wide receiver to this day.
But here's the thing. Whether he is or isn't, I don't really care.
Yeah,
I just need Amari to be the guy I need him to be for the playoff game.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, I don't care that he was 3rd on the team in receiving yards for most of the year behind CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz. I don't really like, as long as he's healthy.
Wait, he finished behind Dalton in the receiving category this year?
Well, I think he's ahead of Schultz now. For most of the year, he was in 3rd.
Okay.
Behind Schultz and
I haven't even looked at the numbers that closely.
Yeah, I think now.
A few weeks
I think now they're both around 800 yards. But my thing is just utilizing these guys to where they're engaged, and I think that starts with having that comfort level with your slot receiver and Cedric Wilson to attack the middle of the field, like you're talking about, too high. Now, part of that too, and this is where Dak's going to have to be very, very careful. Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, these guys are opportunistic, very, very good pass coverage type guys in the middle of the field, probably some of the best that we'll see. So tip passes, that's been an issue recently. We were talking about breaking routes, especially the tighter stuff.
Yeah.
Making sure we're crisp on those things. Some of the guys we do play in the NFC East, they're just not very aware, and the ball will just fly past their head and stuff like that. We need to make sure that that's something to be aware of when we play the 49ers. Now, I will say, on the contrary, these aren't the greatest corners that we'll be facing. I know the brother made a play today on Odell at the end of the game, the brother Ambry Thomas, whatever his name is. But the other brother, Mosley.
It was an underthrown ball still.
It was an underthrown ball, right? And so it's like the one-on-ones on the outside, Amari can win, like deep comebacks, over the shoulders. We're going to have some opportunities to win on the outside. They're not. Oh, yeah. It's not like we're going against Jalen Ramsey or even, some of the things that the Cardinals can do on the outside. I don't necessarily see that. 49ers are built around this pass rush, and they can defend the middle of the field with Fred Warner and then patrolling. So
Dre Greenlaw is turning himself into a nice player as well. So they're talented. They're talented on the front four and at least up the middle with the linebacking core. So Yeah, I noticed he mentioned that. He kind of reiterated, so that makes sense. Matthew,
CeeDee Lamb is definitely lightning in a bottle and can produce big plays. Doesn't have the raw speed that Tony Pollard does, though. CeeDee Lamb, again, if CeeDee Lamb had raw speed, he would have gone to the top 5 of that draft.
Yeah,
he wouldn't have
he was
fallen to 17.
4.51 40 time.
He's a 4.5, and he looks like a 4.5 guy. He's fast, and he moves fast.
Which don't get it twisted, man. Des Bryant was a 4.55 and would still run away from people. Like 4.5 speed is flying. People see we oftentimes we watch the combine and only think that guys that run 4.4s and under are the fast players. But that's just, man, 4.5 is crazy. So
no, CeeDee's
plenty
the
fast
problem.
enough. Yeah.
But I mean, if you look at CeeDee's biggest plays, whether it's, last year, it was a combination of Dak and Andy Dalton and the quarterback issues. But even this year, he doesn't Jamar. How many 70+ yard catches does Jamar Chase have? Right. And some of the really, 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 that's why those guys go in the top 5 of the draft. That's the difference. That's all I'm saying. Sure. I'm not saying that he's not an explosive weapon. I mean, and that's where you get really, really crazy with it. Most teams don't have that guy anyway. Most of the teams in the playoffs don't have that guy.
He's a rare dude. Like that's
rare.
That's very rare.
That's very, very rare.
He was I guess a sophomore. He wasn't even eligible for the draft yet at the time in which well, I guess it was CeeDee, Henry Ruggs, and Devontae Smith. That was the class ahead of him, right? No. I got that wrong. It was Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and CeeDee Lamb. They were saying, and Justin Jefferson too, all in that class.
And
in
they said Chase was the best of all of them.
Chase was the best one at the time. He was still a sophomore in college at the time. He would have went ahead of all of them, and that's proven to be true thus far. So, Kendrick,
this is a statement I wholeheartedly agree with. This is
absolutely
really how the NFL season's played out. Even the Green Bay Packers, who sit at the 1 seed. That's why I'm not, and I tweeted this, I'm not afraid of any of these teams. Now, nobody should be afraid of the Cowboys either, because we're inconsistent as hell. That's our problem. And we beat ourselves. So if you're playing the Cowboys, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I'm just saying stay in the game. Kind of like what they did today.
Yeah.
They'll get in their own way.
Hang in there.
Right. Hang in there. We can keep
running. And that's another thing to assess is obviously the health of their punter. Could be a massive leg up in 1/3 of the phases there on special teams. To which somebody might I guess it's probably time to go ahead and address the elephant in the room here with Greg Zuerlein. Obviously, probably being the weakest link within our roster as it stands today.
Special teams.
Talking about special teams advantages. We haven't even addressed the defense yet, which I do want to get to. Hopefully, I know we're going kind of long here.
Let's hit on special teams real quick, and then we can jump into defense and wrap.
Okay. Yeah. So with this team, man, that's obviously something that has to be addressed, has to be talked about. You said it in week 1. I concede. You were right. I was wrong. You went on the 4K airwaves of YouTube and said that Greg Zuerlein was going to be a problem for this team. I tried to console you a little bit, give you the bro hug, and tell you that everything was going to be okay, and it just hasn't worked out for me. So credit to you. You spotted that long before I did, and I tried to ignore it, tried to come to grips with it. I think at one point in time this season, he was 6 for 7 on game-tying field goals or go-ahead field goals or more. But now, if you look at the total of just missed PATs, times in which we are chasing points because of those missed PATs, like games like Tampa Bay, games like Oakland or Vegas now on Thanksgiving Day, it's cost us. It's cost us points, and you could argue that it's cost us 2 games thus far this season. And so I just pray to God that it doesn't come to that point again when it really, really matters in the postseason. And so, I'm obviously nervous about that. I've seen that narrative spun all over the place. I think Cowboys Nation is well aware. But, I hope the relationship with the special teams coach at a prior destination doesn't ultimately come back to haunt this team. And I'll leave it at that.
So I mean, I appreciate you acknowledging that. I mean, and it's not something I wanted to be right about.
Oh, I completely
You know what I
understand, but
mean?
it needs to be
And
addressed at this point. I mean, it's just
yeah, I
where we
mean, but the
are.
thing is, it's about these games. It's about the games, if we're willing to move on, able to move on. I mean, we've seen kick game. I do want to acknowledge this comment from Donnie Cam about Brian Anger, our punter, who has been phenomenal and is a Pro Bowl punter and hasn't gotten
He's been
much
amazing.
credit at all. So, that's definitely been a big help to this team. And we've seen that make a difference in terms of flipping the field and getting those opportunities.
I don't know if y'all can see that, but I got the playoff juice.
Hold on. They can't see it because I got a graphic up here. Let me go ahead.
The playoff juice is alive. I don't know if I need to save it. Should I save it for the super? Should it be Super Bowl juice or? I think I definitely got to save it.
I think you can take a sip. On a first win.
Little celebratory sip.
Yeah. Playoff wins are hard to come by.
Man, I'm enjoying it. Like I said, bro, I felt so blessed last night. I was just trying to soak it in because I know it's not easy in this league. Ask the Saints. Ask the Colts. Shoot, man, just to be hosting a game, it's crazy. This league is wild.
I do want to get back to the point I was trying to make though about.
I apologize. Go ahead,
Greg Z. So the Cowboys have had an obsession with kickers with big legs for as long as I can remember. Yeah. We drafted a guy maybe 10, 12 years ago and had him as a kickoff specialist because he had, just an amazing leg.
I remember. Who was it? I remember that.
Over the years, I forgot his name, but he was, I think it was like David Bueller or something like that.
Somebody in the comments will get us, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it was David Bueller who was a kicker that we drafted. And
David Bueller. Yep, that's it.
It was David Bueller. Yeah.
Yep.
But we've always been and then the guy that we actually. Yep, there you go. That guy. But we've done this forever. And then the guy we actually had that was steady Eddie throughout the 2010s was Dan Bailey, who didn't have the biggest leg, who was more of just, hey, 45 and in. He was reliable until he wasn't, right? Until, he did miss a field goal in 2016 playoff game. But, overall for Dan Bailey, when Dan Bailey was right, before he developed that weird curve thing, Nick Folk had a big leg when they liked Nick Folk a lot. Nick Folk is still kicking, but they've always been obsessed with these big leg guys. I mean, that's a big reason why they decided to go to Greg Zuerlein from Kai Forbath. Kai Forbath did not miss a field goal.
Yeah, he was perfect. He was perfect
in
his
Cowboys
tenure.
Kicker.
Yeah,
and he lost his
job.
Brett
Maher was pretty good too before Kai.
Brett Maher, who's kicking for the Saints, and now you have Greg Z. Now, Greg Z, when he was Legatron and all that with the Rams, that was a different dude. That was peak. That was when he was 93% on the year, and
bro, he scored 200 fantasy points.
Yeah, that was a different.
He was an RB1 in that year.
That was a totally different guy, right?
Yeah.
And so, with Greg Z though, it's just the consistency. Like he won the Chargers game with a 60-yarder this year, so we can't act like he's been the worst kicker in the league. But when you miss 6 extra points,
that gets you beat in the postseason.
We're talking about at home indoors.
Yeah.
Controlled environment.
Yep.
The place you kick at every day. You live here, bro. Missing 33-yard field goals, 40-yard field goals.
Yeah.
Inexcusable.
Yeah, it is. You're absolutely right. Think about it. Had Robbie Gould missed a PAT tonight, they wouldn't have been forcing overtime. They wouldn't have been in that situation, like they would have had to go for 2 at the end of the game to try and equal the total. So it's just, I don't know. Not, I mean,
So, Vip, what's good, man? I see you in here talking about punt block. Yeah, special teams, really outside of Greg Z, special teams has been awesome.
yeah,
We've been able to put pressure on the punter. I mean, we saw today Travis Homer on the Seahawks made a big play in getting the Cardinals to fumble a punt, which ended up turning into a Seattle touchdown, which gave them the margin they needed to win that football game today against Arizona. So special teams is huge all over the league. The Cowboys have had, to me, a great special teams unit. We've had good kick return between Clement and Tony Pollard. We haven't been muffing punts and stuff. So hopefully we don't have any of those things that we just, we don't have to even think about it, right?
yeah.
But the big question mark
John
is Greg
Fossil,
Z.
all things aside, he's been awesome this year. And one other thing too is I heard this also mentioned, and I thought it was interesting, the philosophy of like on kickoffs, electing not to kick it through the end zone and for a touchback, allowing for the potential of a holding call or a clipping or something along those lines for the team receiving. Like, like let's say the Cowboys are kicking off, right? We elect not to kick it through the end zone for a touchback, like intentionally forcing them to execute, not only fielding the punt or the kick, but then not getting themselves into trouble with penalties and backing them up into their own end zone. That's actually a tactic that has been reported and written about of Bill Belichick liking to use. And so just seeing,
you have to be very careful with that.
Yeah,
and how you coach
it.
I mean,
it's a tight rope
to do it.
It's a tight rope, but we've seen John Fossil take those risks all year long. At the very beginning of the season, it was a storyline of is John Fossil trying to do too much, and put his name in the headline. So, but no, all things considered, and that stuff aside, he's been phenomenal this year. I've been very pleased with the special teams play.
So I want to get to the defense because we gotta get moving here, and I want to blow through some of these topics and answer some questions that are coming up. Jordan, I knocked on whatever I needed to knock on. Don't blame me, sir. Please.
Dude, the chest plate.
Don't do it. He said great. You didn't even need to bring it up.
I threw it up as fast as I could.
Yeah, nah. Hopefully it's a non-issue. Let's get to the defense.
Yeah.
I've been a Trayvon Diggs defender all season. And I love what the brother's done. I love his aggressiveness. And, I think that he is, no pun intended, he's getting picked on for because of his success in the media and by fans and
It's a great
people
pun.
that, like 11 interceptions is like everybody out here is getting 11 interceptions. Like people out here getting 10 plus picks. I think the last person to get 10 picks was Cromartie like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So we've got to put some respect on what Trayvon Diggs has done and how well he plays the ball, especially deep downfield when he's able to latch on in man coverage, because we play so much man coverage. With that being said, this matchup, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I am targeting Trayvon Diggs. With all of my misdirection stuff, all of what I do, and knowing how anxious he is to jump stuff, especially on double moves. If I'm the 49ers,
yeah,
I'm coming after Trayvon Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
Because here's the other thing: whether it's Ayuk or Jennings, they can work Anthony Brown. If it's just a one-on-one situation, like I know what I got there, but with some of the stuff, like what they can do, especially off play action, or even sometimes depending on George Kittle's health, whoever lines up on George Kittle, I would imagine that's probably Jaron Kearse to start.
Yep.
But if it's certain matchups, Trayvon Diggs is the guy I would be targeting if I'm the 49ers to see if I could get him to bite on something.
Their game script.
What say you about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Fortunately for the Cowboys, that with as good as they are at all their misdirection and their run game and their play action stuff, they don't really have that receiver that scares you or threatens you speed wise down the field. So like nobody that's going to really out separate or outrun any of our potential matchups that we throw at them outside at the receiver position. So, but again, we've seen a very deliberate and specific game plan happen with Kyle Shanahan. Like it's either against their matchup with the Rams the first time they played them, when I think they had over almost 300 yards rushing. It was quite literally the same run plays, the same 4 or 5 run plays the entire game, and they just dominated up front. Similarly to what they did tonight. And then there'll be game scripts where they don't have the nickel personnel to match up with a guy like George Kittle in the passing game. And it's George Kittle night where he goes off for, 18 targets on 13 receptions for over 200 yards and 2+ touchdowns, so it's like, it's not a very dynamic aerial attack, which for me, again, is something that in a weird way does concern me a little bit, just knowing that I don't believe that Kyle Shanahan is going to give this Cowboys pass rush a chance to win the game for them. So we'll see.
Well, here's the good news. It's not the same at all, but with what there's some Kubiaks up in Minnesota, run a very similar scheme. We played Minnesota this year.
Yep.
And Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, what the Vikings do with their offensive line, probably better runners, but they don't run the scheme as well with Kirk Cousins as I would say with Kyle.
Yeah.
But the common denominator there is whether it's Kirk Cousins or Jimmy G, you got to get him in obvious passing down situations.
Absolutely.
You got to take the run off the table. Yep. To where it's just obvious passing downs, and they are a good screen team too. Kyle's always had screens and stuff underneath, so you got to be leery of that. But get him in consistent, obvious passing down situations. That's pretty much what you were able to do to Minnesota, which is why you kept forcing him to go 3 and out, because these offenses are not built to just work the ball down the field via the passing game if it's not a 2-minute drill situation like we saw today. If it's not a 2-minute drill situation, they're not constructed just to sit and drop back pass. Jimmy G wants to play action. Right. They want to get their run game going laterally and work and build off of that. That's why I'm concerned about them targeting Diggs, because to Donnie's point, he's absolutely right. Because my next question to you is how we use Micah Parsons in this game. Okay. But they want to have Tank Lawrence playing both ways. They want to have Dorrance Armstrong playing both ways, Randy playing both ways, even our interior guys like a Osa Digizua, right? Getting all those guys really, really inundated with playing off balance in both ways. But if we can play with the same proficiency or a similar proficiency that we played and defended the Vikings run game with, and make them one-dimensional, then I can sleep a lot easier at night knowing what I can do. My question to you, Landon, to Donnie's point, because I think this is a great question. What's the breakdown of Micah Parsons snaps in this game? Mm-hmm. Because I think he's a phenomenal weapon to introduce some big problems for what the 49ers want to do offensively.
Yeah, that's the one thing that makes me feel really good about our chances at neutralizing this run game and moving side to side, is that's what Micah Parsons does best, just running the football, running sideline to sideline and eliminating angles, and at a level that we haven't really seen very many players ever be able to do. Let's be real. And with the speed and the quickness at which he can change direction, I think we're going to see a lot of Micah Parsons at the linebacker spot, the off-ball linebacker. And if he's lined up on the edge, I wouldn't be shocked if we see Kyle Shanahan running directly at him, just forcing him to not be able to get that head of steam and go sideline to sideline, like make him win on the edge, like, getting bodies on him, as a edge contained man, as opposed to like, an edge setter, as opposed to a, see ball, hit ball, fly through gap and eliminate play guy. So, to me, I think if you're Dan Quinn, he's going to be lined up all over the field, and it's just trying to find mismatches and create advantages as a pass rusher and a run defender. But to me, it's like, you don't necessarily just handicap yourself and say, okay, Micah, you're only a linebacker today. Micah, you're only an edge rusher today. I think that eliminates what he's good at, and it's just his versatility that he brings, right? He doesn't have to just be one. He can be jack of all trades. So
what this is how I want to kind of end the conversation here, because we're going to break this down all week. I'm
going to go back and look at that Minnesota film too, by the way, because I think that's an interesting point you bring up.
But there's one big, you talk about elephants in the room. This might be the biggest one.
Is there more than one
that I'm about to bring up? Huh?
Is there more than one?
There's more than one. There's a massive one that we need to discuss.
Okay.
But yeah, Trent Williams is playing, all that.
Mm-hmm.
Kittle's been playing, but his health is up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Randy Gregory, Vipple, I want to answer your question, brother. I think if Randy Gregory, this is the stunt game for him. I don't think you just let him go one-on-one with Trent Williams, or else he's going to get swallowed. I think this is a game where you get him isolated on guards. You run a lot of games, a lot of stuff on obvious passing downs. Don't run games on running downs. All right, because that's how you get gashed. But on obvious passing downs, I think that's where you can have Randy Gregory run games. I want to end here because I'm a big picture perspective guy.
Let's do it.
This is the Dan Quinn game.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Dan Quinn and Kyle Shanahan, their lives changed. That was his main lieutenant in the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. 28-3.
Yep.
This is the Dan Quinn game. Right? Like, you talk about their relationship. There's nobody in the league. I've given my respect and my flowers to Kyle Shanahan. I've been holding on to this point, but there's nobody in the league that knows and understands Kyle Shanahan better than Dan Quinn should.
Hey, can I get a fire emoji in the chat?
That's what I wanted to bring up in this.
Can I get some fire emojis in the chat? Some of the dude that's like a sculpture. He's got the 3 little lines, like he's spitting facts. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Hey, help my guy Steve out, because he just brought the fire. Like what is it that Law Nation says? Let me grab my umbrella, because he's making it rain with the takes over here. Grab your umbrellas, kids. Hey, that's a great yeah. That's you nailed it. You nailed it. That's it. So interesting, very interesting storyline there. I do want to study that Vikings tape again. It will be kind of weird with. I don't know. That was Cooper Rush's game, so offensively we won't be able to gather much. But seeing how the Vikings tried to attack us with their offensive approach and the way that we were able to neutralize the run game and just make it just hell on fire for Kirk Cousins with our pass rush going crazy. So yeah. Fire.
I mean, look, there's so many storylines in this. I mean, the NFL, again, we mentioned this up top. The NFL is getting, a premier matchup. Cowboys, 49ers, they're historic franchises.
Most storied franchises in football. Yeah.
Yeah, you got double-digit Super Bowl wins between the two franchises. You get the Dan Quinn, Kyle Shanahan storyline. You get Mike McCarthy, who was formerly the offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers when they drafted Alex Smith, and his ties to San Francisco. There's a lot of storylines here. Some of them significant, some more significant. To me, in terms of what has an impact on the outcome of the game, because the rivalry is more for us as fans. It's more for people in the chat that are coming here talking about San Francisco. I don't know if that rivalry exists between the players the way a divisional rivalry does right now, because we haven't played in a game that means something in 28 years.
Well, against those
the Dan Quinn, Kyle Shanahan thing, that impacts the outcome of the game.
That's real. That's live. That's right now.
That's a real thing. They were together. They almost won a Super Bowl together.
Yep.
That's a big deal. And I'm really, really curious. And I know how Dan Quinn has defended some of these outside zones. We've had some success. We've also had the situation with Denver where they ran the ball down our throats. So that's really a big thing I'm looking to pay attention to. And I think something I think throughout the week as we all prepare as fans, we start to dive into it, right? In terms of understanding the nuance there of the styles make fights. Styles make fights.
Yeah.
And it's not, to me, this NFC from top down, who's a bad team? Because I don't think the Eagles are bad when they're healthy.
No,
There's
like I
not
said,
a
I actually think the
B7
Eagles can
team.
win. I think they can win.
Like would you be surprised if the Eagles beat Tampa Bay?
No.
Would you be surprised by the outcome of Rams Cardinals?
No.
Would you be surprised if the 49ers beat the Cowboys? No. There's they're all in the same neck of the woods. Like, I like my team because I feel like my team, our weaknesses are things that we can control in terms of our consistency and our approach to the game that day.
We're the most penalized team in football. We can definitely control that. Yeah. How good would we be if we weren't leading the league in flags thrown for the most yards?
But if we controlled that better, we might have a bye.
That's what I'm saying. How good would we be? Would we be having a different conversation?
Right.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we had a good week last week and then we come back this week and we play C+ football and lose. That wouldn't surprise me.
Well, because the same thing happened. We dropped 50 points on a division opponent 2 weeks ago and then came back and laid an egg against the playoff team the following week.
We were trying to beat Arizona.
Right.
And we got, not only did we beat we were out coached. So I'm not like,
with the whole timeout thing at the end of the 4th and 5. Yeah, that's what cost us the game because we couldn't challenge that fumble at the end. So, and no coach is perfect. It's not. We ain't even going to get into that topic. That's a whole different discussion. But in that specific instance, it cost us. So, man, I'm just glad though. This is time to celebrate, enjoy the week, appreciate the moment, relish in what we've overcome this year with all the injuries, not only to our quarterback, but we had Neville Gallimore before the season began. We had Tyron Smith miss multiple weeks. We had Lyle Collins get suspended. We had Randy Gregory miss 4 weeks with a calf. We had Michael Gallup miss 8 weeks with the calf. We had Dak Prescott miss a week with the calf. We had Tony Pollard miss a week with the foot. We had, you name it. Our starting 5 offensive linemen, Steven, have played a total of 1 game together this year. Lyle Collins, Zach Martin, Tyler Biotish, Connor Williams, Tyron Smith have played together 1 time, and that was week 17 against Arizona. Yeah. So that's why I was bummed when Tyron Smith was out, going into last week. I just wanted them to get that confidence as a unit, a front 5, getting all that stuff sorted and solved before the playoffs, but didn't work out that way. So here we go. Time to saddle up, man, and appreciate the ride regardless. Be thankful for the opportunity and just take pride knowing we won the division, we swept the division, and we hosted a playoff game. So that's fun. It's fun, man. Regardless of the outcome, this is awesome. This is what we do. This is why we're fans, and then it's what the wait. It makes everything all worth it. All the storylines, all the sweating, all the nonsense. Right? It all comes down to this.
All of it, man. But we really do. It's such a long season, and there's so many people that don't make it through the 18 weeks.
Right.
So when you get to these points, I think it is fair for us, especially as fans, as stressful as it is, the amount of time we invest each and every Sunday or Thursday or Monday night to watch this team. And we've had 12 really good weeks out of the 17. Anytime you get a W. So now it's serious, right? As Dak Prescott said, the shit starts now.
Yeah,
now. That's real. That's real. But I see some of the other comments here. I just want to address a couple of them before we sign off. I appreciate everybody that jumped into the chat tonight. We're definitely trying to grow our Cowboys platform. We've done a great job having all the Texas interaction, but my channel is based around all the things I love in sports and this teams, and Cowboys are my baby. And we're here now. and we'll have more content to come. Tomorrow night is a national championship game.
Yes.
So we're going to be pretty much focused on college football tomorrow night, but the rest of the week, as we get prepared for everything that comes. Somebody asked me about when Caleb Williams makes his decision. Yes, I will go live at that point. Those guys are on standby. As Caleb Williams.
Chris is always on standby, man.
Chris is definitely on standby. We did see Caleb Williams attend the Rams 49ers game today, I think, with Mario Williams. So stand by on that for the college fans. And just more preparation. My buddy Jimmy will be back. Jimmy actually went. Jimmy Johnson went to the 49ers Rams game today as well. So get to have his impressions from hanging out with 49ers fans and being in that atmosphere. And then obviously come game day, once it's, official on whenever we play or whatever. But I've seen some people mention that here in the chat, but once it's official, we'll get to that as well. Vipple said Tampa losing would be a little surprising to me. Obviously we expect Tampa to win, Vip, but and Bowles is excellent. My thing is, this is also a Tampa Bay team that has crapped the bed quite a few times in the last 2 months, and they are really banged up.
Desperate.
They're playing Le'Veon Bell heavy. So I wouldn't. I wouldn't be surprised.
And Philly's going to be fresh. They just had to. They just had to play. Fresh. They just played dogfight football for 3 quarters until it really got out of hand today. And Philly's, resting, recouping, and had an extra day to recover from any sort of game action. So they're going to be fresh and feeling good and confident. We'll see, man.
I expect Tampa to win.
I do too. I do too. But I know it's going to be a fight.
And what Sirianni and them do, 2-back sets.
Yeah.
And how diverse they are with that triple option look.
They do triple option stuff, man. Yes. Yeah.
That's some high level stuff they're doing. They don't just stand there and run the ball down the throat.
It ain't 2nd and 10, turn around and hand it off to Zeke between the tackles for no gain. That's the type of stuff that I'm tired of seeing.
No. And when they played earlier this year, that was a very good football game when the Eagles played the Bucs earlier this year. What was the final on there? I remember I did watch that game.
I don't even know.
And it was a very, very good game. Let me see if I can pull that box score real quick. It was a Monday night game, I think.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It was a Monday night game. It was 28-22.
Yeah.
That Tampa Bay won. Very, very good game. But Philly's gotten better since October. Tampa Bay obviously is missing multiple significant players. So we'll see. I expect Tampa to win. But, in terms of this NFC conference and how everything matches up.
Yeah. And I know Philly fans that will tell you, too, that this is actually the matchup that favors them the least with what they do well and what Tampa does well defensively, stopping the run. So it's like that's the formidable front that Tampa possesses. That's the team that most people say out loud, prior to each matchup. It's like, they stop the run. They won't let you stop the run. They will make you throw on them. So we'll see if Jalen Hurts can make a few big throws and if Philly can really overcome.
I knew somebody was going to bring up the taunting call.
Yep.
Somebody was going to bring that one up.
Dude, I actually forgot all about that.
Yeah, people go back and watch that game. That was a very interesting football game. That's all.
Such a wild league.
A wild league. But it's like Vip said, it's Tom Brady in the playoffs, and he's going to get the benefit of the doubt, as he should. Reigning Super Bowl champions.
By the way, if you haven't watched Man in the Arena, highly recommend. If you're a sports fan, you owe it to yourself to watch that series.
Amen. Landon, we'll be back as well. The people can find you at the Lando Show.
Yes, sir.
Right?
The Lando Show on Twitter and YouTube. That's where I'm most active. You can follow me on Twitter as well. And I will follow you back. Also, I think you and I discussed off air, we might be going live. Obviously, we'll be watching the College Football National Championship tomorrow. I am contributing now to the Mike Fisher YouTube, Fish Nation sports channel. So we might be doing some work over there as well on Tuesday night, I would imagine. So I'll just have to coordinate with Mike and make sure that we're clear. We got the okay and with the time slot mapped out. So looking forward to just, I'm gonna really hammer it as much as I can with as far as the all 22 and try to see if I can find some things that we might be able to exploit from a game style and schematical standpoint, and just enjoying this week of preparation for playoff time, man. So can't wait.
Amen. Guys, thank you to BUSR, busr.com/fanatic. This is betting season. Like, it's time for us to make some money, starting with the national championship tomorrow night. I believe, let's actually pull this up right now. Just
Alabama's a dog, by the way.
Alabama, what's the I should have had this up earlier, but I just thought about it.
I want to say Georgia's favored by 3.5, something like that. 3.5, 4.5. I can't remember. Last time I checked, I know Alabama's a dog, though. And that's bulletin board material all over Tuscaloosa. So,
yeah. So tomorrow night, heavy action. Don't wait. I thank you, Doug. We appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for tuning in.
It's time to get involved and take advantage of the opportunity here to make some money with us on busr.com/fanatic. New sign-up promo code on your deposit, matching 100% free play match. Let's get it. I want to pull up this spread for y'all because we have some prop bets on here and things of that sort. So if we go to
I think is it 2.5? I swear when I first looked at it, it was Georgia minus 3.5, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's 2.5.
Okay. Yeah.
2.5 in the rematch. The points is 52.5 for that total. They went way over that in the first. They went way over that in the first game. So, let's see if they have any specials. There's some Jackson State specials. Shout out to Coach Prime. So a lot of cool stuff going on. So shout out to BUSR, official sportsbook, the official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. Very, very thankful for everything that they have brought and contributed to this YouTube channel. There's our boy Dakota Prescott, QB1. Going to lead us to victory next week. Put some respect on his name. Put some respect on my name. Lando, I appreciate you, brother. It's been a good night. Guys, over and out. We'll be back with more. Peace.
Thank you.